Hey guys, welcome to another episode of A Drummer's Guide to. So this week I'm talking about juggling gigs, and this is coming from a person who at any one time would be playing with around about 8 or 9 different artists, different bands at one time, and the lessons that I've learnt from doing that, the burnout that I've experienced, and the ways in which I've tried to minimise those things, basically, because that kind of thing is not sustainable long term. So these are the things that I've managed to ascertain work and don't work over the last 20 years or so. And I hope that they help you too. If you're juggling a bunch of gigs, just take this time to sit, listen to this and just relax. All right, I'll see you on the other side. I'm lucky enough to have found myself in a situation where I am at one time doing more than one gig. In fact, the majority of my drumming life has been like that. Even since I was 11 years old, I would be playing with many different artists, many different bands. And it can get stressful because you're sort of juggling loads of different sets, loads of different, songs and people and all that sort of stuff. And you might be getting ready for rehearsals with one lot, for a gig for another, and then for a tour for another, or maybe recording an album for another. And it can get a bit messy in your head. And basically, these are the things that I have done, or that I still do, to make sure that I do the best job that I can without getting completely overwhelmed, which I have done in the past, but I think I've gotten to a good place with it. So here are my sort of tips. The first thing that you need to know about yourself, absolutely, and sometimes you only work this out once you're in the situation, is to work out how quickly you can learn songs, what your workflow is like, and sort of get that really honed, get that really streamlined, so you know, right, if I need to learn a set of 20 songs, I know that the first thing I want to do is just listen to them all randomly for maybe a week beforehand, or if I have the time. If I don't, then I know that I need to chart them. I need to listen to them, and then I need to practice them, and then I need to record them and listen back. And that's in a nutshell my process, actually. So once you know those things about yourself, how quickly you can learn stuff, you can then look at your diary. So say that you have, you have a set of rehearsals booked in for a certain amount of time. I'll go back in my diary and say, right, what is the ideal amount of time that I would like to get ready for those rehearsals? And then I will literally block off in my diary, say a week beforehand, depending on what it is. Right, I know that week is dedicated to those rehearsals, which may lead to a tour or whatever, and I know that in that time I will be solely dedicated to that. I will be learning that stuff, and that is that. And then what I will also do is, leading up to that point, I will look at the general activities that I do day to day, for instance, exercising, or say cooking every day. I will then make a playlist of all the songs that I'm meant to be learning, and I'll just have them on whilst I'm working out or cooking or whatever it is, just so that I can passively listen to it and no stress, don't need to concentrate on it, but just it kind of embeds itself in me, and that really works for me. It really, really works. And then when it actually comes to the week beforehand, then I will make sure that I, concentrate. I will, if I'm in a really concentrated state, I will usually only spend maybe 4 hours a day on stuff, depending on how much stuff is meant to be done. And, sometimes it involves programming, which might mean a little bit more time, but I split up my time. So I know, okay, the first day is going to be all about charting and just charting every single song and making sure that that's all done. The second day is going to be programming if I need to do some electronics. Right, so then I know that day is all I need to do is programming, and that might only take an hour. It also might take 8 hours, but I know that it needs to be done by the end of that day, no matter what. If things overhang into the next day, don't be too harsh on yourself. I do generally put in a bit of buffer time because, things come up. Life happens. Then maybe the third day, it will be about just playing it through with the charts and getting used to it. The fourth day will be playing it through without the charts and getting used to it. The fifth day will be recording it and listening back and then see how that is. And then the next sort of few days will just be getting completely comfortable with it. I may even do a bit of visualizing where I sort of like imagine that I'm playing the gig and imagining that it's all going perfectly and everyone in the band is turning around to me and smiling and happy and all that sort of stuff. Seems a bit mad, but it's what I do and it seems to work, so happy days. Also, I like to be at a point that I'm so comfortable that I can also perform, because it's a big part of who I am as a player, how I enjoy doing gigs, so I like to do that. The other thing I would absolutely 100% suggest, the last day before rehearsals or whatever it is, will be a nothing day. A complete relax. I sometimes, if I can, put in 2 days of this, where I literally just go and do whatever I want. It's usually cooking, lots of cooking, making sure that I'm working out during this period as well to keep my body active and sort of like on point, make sure that I'm eating well, things like that. Now, obviously, sometimes you're giggling? Sometimes you're giggling more than one jug. No, you're juggling more than one gig at one time, and that's when things can get difficult. But the way that I deal with that is, I say I've got a set of rehearsals to do, and then there's a gig for a completely different artist literally the day after these rehearsals or 2 days after these rehearsals. What I will do is I will either split my time from my days, so I'll make it like a 2-week period beforehand if I can, and then I will I probably wouldn't chart both lots of stuff on the same day, but I may chart one lot on one day and maybe chart the next lot on the next day, and then sort of have them in tandem but at different points, otherwise it can get a little bit confusing. And it is difficult, but it is possible. I've done it. And no gig is the same. You're not going to I would assume that you're not going to have like 2 sets of 20 songs to learn, because that would suggest that they are 2 tours, and therefore you're not going to be going on the same tour at the same time. Or maybe you are, and if you are, kudos to you, double bubble, very nice. But it's just about time management and knowing how long it takes you, your process of learning songs, sets. It's about getting as good at that as possible, as quick at that as possible, and doing the best job you can, basically, without completely stressing yourself out. That's the other thing. Try not to make your days too long, because when I was younger, I would cane it. It would be like 12 hours in a windowless studio, just hammering it in. I didn't care if I was tired, all this sort of stuff. But actually, it becomes completely counterproductive. It's really not good for you. Like, if you can, I would just take it, like I say, I sort of do 4 hours of intensive concentration. If you've watched my video about being productive, I use something called the Pomodoro technique, where you basically do basically an hour of work with a 15-minute break. It's not exactly that, but it's essentially that. And that really helps me keep fresh. It means by the end of the day, I'm not completely exhausted. I still make sure that I relax in the evenings. I do something different. For me, cooking relaxes me, so I will cook. I work out throughout the day, which also keeps me rested, which sounds a bit weird. But yeah, I'd say that just make sure that you allow yourself enough time to also relax, because it's just a bigger part of learning is just being able to switch off.
Hope you enjoyed that episode, and I hope that if it really resonated with you, because you do feel sort of snowed under by many different projects. First of all, kudos to you. You're obviously in demand. But secondly, please make sure that you do look after yourself, because health is such an important thing, and managing stress when you're juggling all sorts of situations, it can be a nightmare, and it can be a bit of a trial and just work it out for yourself, because everybody's different. But anyway, with that being said, I wanted to tell you about this new Facebook community that I've created. It's a group called Find Your Rhythm, and it's a support group, basically. It makes it sound like we've all got a problem. Well, we do. We're obsessed by music and drums and all sorts. But this is a support group of musicians who are supporting each other in each other's journey, really, and the trials and tribulations that brings. That can be day-to-day sort of problems, like if you're having trouble practicing, how is everyone else being motivated? Well, let's start a discussion about it. If you are like struggling with stress right now, stick something up on the group, because what you will soon realise is that we all go through very similar things, and if someone has found a way to deal with it that works for them, it may well work for you as well. So come on over and join the community and let's get a conversation going. Anyway, I'll be back next week with another subject. If you want me to talk about anything in particular, then please feel free to get in touch. Just drop me a line at info@adrummersguide2.com. But in any case, I will see you next week. All right, lots of love, you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.